G'day guys, welcome back to BMW. Today we've got this X5 E70 in, and you can see the problem here. When you lift the boot lid, you get doused with a bunch of water from the inner seals, from the inner tail lights. You can see the water in there, inside the clear. Now this is a fault of the seal. Initially the seals that they put on at the factory were just like a goo seal, and they go bad on you. So the new replacement seals are single-sided adhesive foam seals. So you pop those on and it comes good. So we're going to start with taking out two Phillips head screws. You can see me doing that there. We're going to take the trim off the boot here. So I've got a trim removal tool. Just sort of pull at the sides. Nice and easy. Make sure you don't break the plastic. But you just got to give it a bit of get a bit of pressure down and pop the little clips out, little white clips that are held in. You can see I'm pulling out the wiring for the lights there. Alright. There's one light either side, I think. There's a row of white trim clips sort of towards the front of the trim and towards the back near the rear wiper. So you need to work both of those off, and in the joints right here where I'm working now, there's another little sort of clip that you got to get out as well. But it's easy enough once you get it off. Finally, before you take it all the way off, you got to get into the center here where I am now and pull out that. That's the emergency boot release cable. Alright, those are all the trim clips you got. You just got to feed that cable with a little plastic bit on it through, so you can take the trim off. Alright, we can see the inside of the tail lights here. It's a 10mm nut, just a single 10mm nut, and that holds on a black plastic sort of retainer that pushes against the body and pulls the thread of the shaft on that thread through and tightens it up. You can see that there. It's a black plastic sort of retaining section. Pushes against the boot, against the body. Alright, you take those out. Now you can see all the black stuff, and obviously it's dripping everywhere. There's a special way to take all that black stuff off. I'll show you in a tick. After you take that after you take the 10mm screw off, you got to work from the outsides of the boot. These sort of little fingers that just wrap around the boot. You just sort of push them away, and it does take a bit of pressure because this black plastic goo is very sticky. It holds on quite well. You can see here how well it holds on. It's like really sticky and pulls away and stuff. So that's the way it goes. I walked about 20 metres away with that taillight seal. It was really funny. They just hold on like stringy strands of cheese. So the way to get this stuff off, it seems to be quite hard initially, but what you got to do is just get a little bit of this black stuff up, get a bit of it removed, and once you get a little bit of it, you can press down on the rest of it, and it pulls up, and it becomes quite clean. Just sort of work it in and keep pushing and sort of left and right, and you can see it pulls it up eventually. It's quite good. Really good way to clean these. After you get all this black stuff up, you got to sort of give it a bit of a clean with some brake cleaner or some, what we use is Preptone. Preptone's a decent cleaner that's out there. I'll make sure they're nice and clean, they've got no dirt on them, so you can put the new seals on. And also, like I'm doing here, on the body as well. You got all that goo all over the body, so you got to take all that off. That comes away just the same, just working it in. Sorry about the camera work there, but you get the idea. Just give it a bit of a, sort of sticks to itself essentially. Alright, and make sure while you got it off just to wipe all the water out. There should be water in the boot. Wipe all that out, get it all dry. I also drill a hole in the tail lights themselves just to drain the water out. It'd probably be a good idea to drill a drain hole on the bottom side of the lights where they sit. just so if any other water gets in, it can drain out that bottom hole. You can see I've actually drilled a hole on the top side. Probably not the best idea in hindsight, but it's the way it goes. That's a new foam seal, alright, single-sided adhesive like I said. Goes on just like that, sticks down to the tail light on that little edge. It pushes down on that edge and then it goes back in. Putting it back in was a bit difficult. It seemed like I could get those are the fingers that you got to work out on one side. But once you work those fingers in, it sort of seems to sit up a bit like that, and you got to push it in. It's a bit tricky. You might need two people, but I managed to do it myself, just sort of a bit of fancy finger work, and just pulled it in while I was pushing the retainer onto the body and threading the nut on. You can see that just now. Just like that. That's how it sits on there. You can see it sits on the body on the left hand side and it pulls the thread in, you know what I mean? So that's good. Those plugs are pretty easy to undo too. Just a little sort of 2-pin, easy as pie. Alright, put the trim back on. Let's get the either side underneath those pillar trims. Before you do anything, you got to plug those lights back in. Work the emergency boot release back in. You got to sight everything back up too. If you try and push these trim clips in, these white trim clips, they're not in the hole, they like to just flatten and they just destroy themselves. They just crunch up and they're no good anymore. You got to buy new ones. They're not expensive or anything. It's just a hassle. So just work that emergency boot release back in. From memory, I don't think you could really see the line of trim clips that's closer to the rear view wiper here, but if you line up the front row, you can pretty much be assured the back row's, you know, as close as it can be. So push all them back in, give them a big hit, make sure they're right, push them all in. Then you got your 2 Phillips head screws and you're done. Alright, so thanks for watching my video. Check out my homepage on this link, see my other videos. I'm trying to become sort of YouTube's #1 BMW, sort of new BMW site. So check out my other videos and like this video to give me a hand. I appreciate it. If you got any other problems that are giving you a hassle with your BMW or any of your mates' BMWs, let me know. I can do videos for you. Alright. If you have any questions or comments, leave in the section below and I'll catch you next time on BMW.